Okay, this is part 2 on fake first-person shooter games. Okay, left off with the instep. I talked about that in my other video. Now I'm talking about object wall basics. Okay, so this is going to basically talk about how he moves up against the wall and he stops. He's not going to be able to move unless he backs away from it, of course. So in the object wall basics, there's no wall. It's just called object_wall basic. No, there's no sprint. There's no image of it. It's set to visible. And then I went to add event, grabbed a draw, went to code tab, and it's set to this open bracket if parentheses point_distance x y global camera view, and then the Pac-Man sign of 240 exit. Then draw the D3D, draw wall, x1, y1, z1, x2, y2, z2, text 1, 1. So this is basically talking about how to rotate the wall from being flat to being 3D. So the wall will be in your face. It won't be laying down like on the floor. So, and I guess it's pretty much talking about where the camera view will be looking at too. So this talks about the camera view, the x and y coordinates, and it talks about how the wall is going to be set up in the game. It's not going to be flat. It's going to be the wall is flat, but it'll be rotated up to make it appear like it's 3D. And then you have an end bracket here. And then in the object player, you want to go to add event object basic wall. So if you collide with the object basic wall, that's what it's talking about, then you have a coded sheet that's going to state open bracket x equals x previous, y previous, if ABS, HS speed. There's a lot of code here that I'm not really familiar with, but I kind of have an idea what it means. It means that if you move up on this wall, then he's going to stop. He's not going to move, and you're not going to go through it. That's what it's pretty much talking about. You move against the wall. You move up against the wall. You're not going to go through the wall. You're just going to stop there, and you'll be able to move back and forth and move away from the wall. That's what it's pretty much talking about with this code here. You can't just go to move tab and drag over a coded this move fix position. You can't do that because it doesn't work in this 3D space. You have to have this code in here for this to work. If you use these other options, shift to move, it's not going to work correctly. It'll work because you're dealing with 3D space here. You're dealing with the code D3D. You're dealing with that code, and that code will not operate right with using these fixed positions here. So you have to use a code, which I've used here in this video here. And like I said, I'll put all this information in the description in YouTube. You'll have to download the coded sheet because YouTube does not like these Pac-Man symbols. So I'll have to have you download it through my Dropbox. Alright, and then moving left, up and right, and down, you go to add event, click on this keyboard option here, and you want to go click on left, right, up, and down on these options. You drag over a coded sheet, and for the left, it's going to be direction +5. For up, it's going to be this code right here, which allows you to move straight up in that direction, and dealing with 3D space. The V key shift, this doesn't seem to work. I don't know, but when I was viewing, but it seems to work on the keyboard when you press the up button. So just keep this code as it is. For some reason, I don't think this information, this if keyboard check V key, it doesn't seem to check that. But it knows when you press the up button that it's going to go 10 speeds the max speed is going to go is at 10, and then it's going to slow down at 3 speeds when you lift off the key, the arrow key. You probably could put up here, but for some reason this portion of the code doesn't seem to work, but you need it in there for it not to throw an error or something. So just keep this information in here, this code portion right here. Like I said, this V key shift doesn't mean nothing, but you need this portion of the code in here for all this other information right here to make sense and work in the game. So it's just talking about the movement, how fast you're going in the game, and it needs to be kind of different than the left and right, because the left and right you're rotating, basically you're rotating around in a circular perimeter, and the right you're going the other direction, minus 5. So you're just going around a circle. You're staying in one spot, but you're moving around the perimeter. And then the down would be the same thing as moving up, but dealing with different. You're dealing with the -3 instead of dealing with positive 3 in this one. Moving up is +3, and then when you're moving down, moving in the back, when you're moving backwards, it's going to be -3, minus. Same information here does not apply when you're pressing the button. I mean, it applies, it's working here when you press the down button, but in this situation here, it doesn't really, it's not really acting on this portion right here, but it's acting on the rest of the code. Then when you press the keypad 4, that's your keyboard keys. You have 2 different keyboard keys. You have the up, left, down, and right arrows in the middle of your keyboard. Then you have a keypad that's on your right, which has 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, and those like 8, 4, 6, and 2 have arrows on those. So those are your keypads, and that will allow you to move straight to the left or straight to the right without no rotation. You just move straight right or straight left. The left and right keys you rotated, but the keypad you move straight left or straight right, and this is the code for that to work in your 3D space. And it's just talking about the camera view, and it's talking about if you meet the wall, it's just going to make you stop. You're not going to go through it. And then you have your no health. Go to add event, click on other. No health. I don't have a health bar set up yet, but I will. And don't have any enemies, so you can't get killed yet. But if you interact with the enemy and don't swing your weapon, then a message will pop up saying you're game over, you're dead. And you can also make it, if you wanted to, you can make it move to another room and say game over in the graphical sense. But in this situation right now, I just have a bubble pop up, message saying game over, and then you press the OK button, and then it would just end game. It would just cut off. Then you have a draw event. Draw event. This is the projects all this information right here. Projects everything that happened on the screen. So this D3D set projection is talking about the direction for the camera view to move Y and X positions. I don't have one set up for Z. Like I said, that's more complex right there, and that's probably more based in Game Maker Studios for true 3D, dealing with the Z-axis. In this one, you're dealing with fake 3D, so it's not required to have a Z-axis. Then the alpha set is set to 1. I guess that's how transparent an object's going to be. You don't want to make it too transparent. You make it kind of solid, so you got to have that code in there to keep it solid. Draw the color white. That way you can see the room. Don't change it to any other color except for white. Otherwise things will be looking dark in the room. And then the D3D, this is where you draw the floor and the ceiling. And this code is at 000 because you're completely dealing with the flat floor. So it's going to be completely flat on the floor, and the texture for that is going to be the texture floor, which is in the background here. I'll go into detail in a minute. Set to 3232. Then you're dealing with the code set for floor, but in reality it's ceiling. Game Maker doesn't have one set up for ceiling, but you just keep it as floor. But you're going to change the coordinates to being on the ceiling, which is at 32 high and 32 high there, and it's at 24, the location 24 of 24, and it's going to be the ceiling. So it's text background ceiling, and then you have in bracket, and those textures for the ceiling and floor right here. This is for the ceiling. Width 127, height is 126 on the image, and it just pretty much repeats. Do not have to set it to set the tile. The floor is this brick. Make sure that your label is the same as the code. Width 128, height 128. So the code here is texture floor, and that's what this is labeled as, texture floor. Make sure that it matches texture ceiling, textured ceiling. Alright, and then you go into the object wall 1, which is this horizontal. Talking about these walls right here, horizontal walls. Create, make sure your horizontal wall is set up to parent for the object wall basics, so it takes those attributes that the object wall has, basics, which is going to be solid, so you're not going to move through the object. So you make sure it's parented to that, and then you want to add event and create it. Drag over a coded sheet, and this code right here basically rotates the wall from being flat to making it look 3D. So you're looking at it straight up and down, not like a floor. So you're basically rotating the wall from actually being flat, like on the floor, to rotating it up, so you're able to see it visible straight at you, eye level. So that's why you have an x at minus 16, x plus 16. So it's rotating the flat wall from being on the floor to rotating to making it look 3D looking. So, and the background texture is set to texture wall 1, and the wall is this right here, 128 height and width 128. And same thing, texture wall 1, make sure it matches this right here, texture wall 1. And same thing applies to the vertical. Make sure it's set to object wall basics. It's visible in the room, and the code's the same. Well, actually the vertical is different. Since you're dealing with the vertical wall, you're going to be messing with the y-axis, not the x-axis. And it's going to be rotated. Well, it does deal with the z attributes in this game, but there's more coding for z in other videos for more complex 3D elements, but it does require you to have the z-axis here, which I think also makes this rotate. Instead of being completely flat, the z I think makes it 3D right here, where it rotates up right at a 32. I think this is what makes it rotate so it looks 3D. And then you have the y1 and y2 set here, because you're dealing with the vertical, not the horizontal. Horizontal is for the x. So this is a vertical wall, so you're dealing with the vertical settings here. And then with and it's set to the texture wall 1, same the wall, same wall texture. It's like the horizontal, you're dealing with the X only, so that's why you have the X for the horizontal. Alright, this concludes the video, and like I said, I'll put the Game Maker 8 so you can download it and test it out yourself on your PC. And I put the code up there as well for you to download and understand it better. I went over this kind of briefly. If you want more details on how to do understand fake 3D a lot, I'll try to find a good video on that so you can understand it a little better than how I'm explaining it. But I'll go in more detail about other things like weapons and health bar and monsters, stuff like that. Thanks for watching.